Hi there, my name is Booka. Welcome to Band Together. Band Together is a series of mental health vlogs that I'm putting together and will be releasing throughout this year. So this is my second vlog. I released a couple of weeks ago a video which was just a little introduction to these vlogs, giving a little overview of what I'm planning to do and also just giving a little bit of history about me and my story and why I'm doing this. I got a lot of really beautiful comments and emails from my last video, and I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who responded and also everybody who took the time to actually watch the video. The feedback that I got was so lovely and it really does make all of this feel quite worth it. So thank you so much for taking the time to do that. So before I launch into this video, I just want to say, same as last time, that if anybody feels distressed or triggered by the contents of this video, I've listed suicide prevention hotlines from around the globe below this video. Please contact one if you need to talk to somebody after I'm finished. The people on the other end of the line are trained professionals and they want to take your calls. So please do seek help if you need it. Without further ado, I did say in my last video that this time I was going to tackle social anxiety. Rather than doing one big video, which goes for a significant amount of time, I think it'd be better to do two videos on social anxiety because there's a lot of content to cover. So this video, I want to do what is social anxiety, what can cause it, and what it's like to live with social anxiety. Next video, I'm going to go through some strategies to help deal with social anxiety and also what treatments are out there and available. So, what is social anxiety? Well, crazily enough, it is exactly what it sounds like it is. From the title, which is nice. Social anxiety is also can be known as social phobia. It's a condition where everyday social exchanges and interactions can result in extreme fear and anxiety for a person. It goes beyond the fear or the anxiety that someone might feel from having to do some public speaking, you know, having to be around a large group of people and meeting a new group of people. It is a significant and it is a debilitating fear, and it impacts those who experience it quite profoundly. So there's two types of social anxiety. We've got generalized social anxiety, which means, you know, there is no discrimination. Pretty much all social exchanges and interactions cause a tremendous amount of anxiety and fear in a person. And then there's specific social anxiety. So that is where there's a specific social situation that that causes a great deal of anxiety. Both can be really awful, and obviously the generalized anxiety is the one that has the most significant impact on somebody's life because it extends to all social interactions. Social anxiety more often than not starts in adolescence, and statistics suggest that there are 1 in 10 people who will experience some form of social anxiety throughout their lifetime. So it's a pretty common issue. If you are someone who lives with social anxiety, take a little bit of solace in the fact that you are not alone and that there are actually quite a lot of people who are in your boat and going through what you're going through. You absolutely can recover from social anxiety. That means you too. It just takes some time and some work. So somebody who has social anxiety is generally anticipating that when they go and engage in a social situation, they will be judged negatively and they will be humiliated. There's often this internal unwavering belief that when you go out, you absolutely will be judged negatively and people absolutely will be laughing and at you and will dislike you. One of the really frustrating things about having social anxiety is that for a lot of people, they're aware that this fear is irrational. So they understand that that this fear is like quite extreme and that it's probably unlikely logically that that's actually going to happen. However, this is the difference between knowing something and believing something. You can know and understand something logically, But if your intrinsic core beliefs are convinced that this is actually going to happen, and this thing that you're afraid of is actually going to happen, it creates this real complex feeling, and it's almost like you're angry at yourself because you know logically that what you're experiencing is irrational, but you can't help it. The thing about anxiety is that we need to feel anxiety. It's a good thing. If you don't feel anxiety, then you don't really know what's dangerous and what's not, and there's no like a little voice inside your head that warns you against dangerous situations. If you think about it logically, our ancestors were probably all very, very anxious, and that's why we're here today. They were able to survive long enough to procreate and make us, thanks guys, because they were anxious. Their anxiety would have told them, don't go into that cave. There's probably like a mammoth lion in there that will eat and kill you. And so they would have avoided putting themselves in a dangerous situation because of that anxiety, because of that little voice inside their heads. The problem with anxiety is when it's not functional and when it starts to tell us things and make us fearful of things that aren't actually going to hurt us. So with social anxiety, like, you can know logically, like, this isn't going to hurt me. Why the hell am I so scared of this anyway? Who cares if people hate me? Who cares? Well, it's just not that simple, because you do care. And we all care to some extent and to some level about what other people think of us. Otherwise, we'd go around wearing garbage bags and, you know, like, just not giving a rat's ass about what other people think of us. Generally, like, social anxiety is very closely linked with poor self-esteem, which makes so much sense to me, because if you think about it, if you think that you are awesome and that you are the bee's knees, then you'd be pretty confident in thinking that other people would probably believe the same thing about you. Whereas if you think you're awful, if you think that you're hopeless and you've got nothing to offer, then chances are you're going to assume that other people are going to think the same thing about you. And the problem with social anxiety is that it perpetuates this fear. You know, you become really isolated and lonely, because even though you feel more comfortable being alone rather than being in social situations, it doesn't stop that intrinsic desire that most human beings, if not all human beings, have, which is to be close to other humans and to have connections with other people. So that loneliness and that isolation often feeds into this whole, like, you know, I suck, I'm stupid, why can't I just get over this and get out there, and, you know, I'm not worth anybody's time. If you feel this about yourself, if you feel like you have nothing to offer, then it's going to just enhance and perpetuate that internal belief that people are going to judge you negatively when you go out and try to meet new people. So, what causes social anxiety? I don't know. No, I'm just kidding. There is no specific one thing that causes social anxiety. There are many contributing factors generally. So there are things in your environment growing up. So if you're someone who was bullied in school, or even in your adult life, this often can lead to social anxiety, because you learn basically that people are judging you negatively and are going to be nasty and cruel to you. So I was bullied. I understand how freaking awful it is, and how horrible it can feel when people are being intentionally cruel to you. If you're someone who has been bullied, well, I got a few things to say about bullies. I'll release another video about that. As well, if you've witnessed other people be bullied whilst you've been growing up, this fear that this could happen to you, and this understanding that this does happen to people, that can sometimes result in developing a fear of social situations. Likewise, we all have different brains. Our brains are differently wired, and we can have differing levels of certain chemicals in our brain. Too much or too little of certain chemicals can create anxieties. Likewise, anatomical structures within our brains. So if you have an overactive amygdala, for example, this is the emotional hub center of our brain. Too much or too little activity and differences in sizes of this part of the brain can also bring on anxieties and create a likelihood of experiencing anxiety more strongly than somebody else. So these are a couple of the things that can lead to developing social anxiety. Essentially, all of our experiences create neural pathways in our brain, and these neural pathways create who we are, and they dictate how we process information and how we see the world. So the good thing about neural pathways is that through creating new experiences, we create new neural pathways. We can weaken ones that exist and we can strengthen new ones. So by engaging in things like therapy, or by going out and, say, having like a few really great social exchanges where we actually end up having a really good time, we can actually rewire our own brains so that we start to kill off those neural pathways that have led us to experience social anxiety, and we can start to create these new neural pathways that tell us that it's okay and that it's going to be okay when we go out. So I will get more into that when I go through treatment and different methods for combating social anxiety. So that pretty much concludes the first half of the social anxiety, social phobia vlog for Band Together. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I hope that you will tune in to watch the next one. Please do feel free to email me if you have any questions or any topics that you would like to be discussed specifically. And again, I love your feedback, so please do send through any feedback that you have. My email is in the section below. Last but not least, please like and subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more videos like this. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in and taking time out of your day to watch this.